For generations, Hollywood's golden age has been romanticized as a glamorous time filled with elegant movie stars, dazzling premieres, and unforgettable films. But behind the glossy studio photographs and carefully crafted publicity lies another story, one far more complex, painful, and human. The early to mid-20th century film industry operated under a powerful studio system capable of shaping public perception, burying scandals, and protecting reputations at any cost. What audiences saw on screen was rarely the full truth. Many stars led private lives that revealed sharp contrasts to their polished images. Alcohol dependence, unstable temperaments, emotional volatility, and deeply troubled marriages were far more common than most fans ever knew. Biographers, historians, and surviving family accounts have gradually brought these stories to light, revealing a darker side of stardom that the industry long tried to conceal. This documentary-style narrative explores 11 Golden Age actors whose marriages became the subjects of painful accounts, allegations, or claims of emotional turmoil, volatility, or abuse, stories often suppressed during their lifetimes. These accounts are complex, sometimes disputed, but collectively, they paint a striking picture of how fame, pressure, addiction, and power shaped the private lives of Hollywood icons. 1. Spencer Tracy, the tormented genius behind the charming persona. To the public, Spencer Tracy epitomized strength and dignity. Audiences saw him as a moral anchor, wise, grounded, and commanding on screen. But according to numerous biographers, Tracy struggled profoundly with alcoholism and bouts of emotional volatility that deeply affected his home life. His marriage to Louise Treadwell was long and complex. Though they remained married for life, the relationship was marked by long separations and painful episodes reportedly fueled by Tracy's drinking. Accounts from people close to the family describe a household constantly navigating his unpredictable moods. Some historians note that Louise often bore the brunt of his emotional storms, even as she publicly supported him. The contrast between Tracy's public image and private struggles captures the overarching theme of this era, a system that glorified the performer while concealing the human cost behind the scenes. 2. Errol Flynn, the swashbuckler whose life was surrounded by turmoil. Errol Flynn's screen image, bold, adventurous, irresistibly charismatic, became one of Hollywood's most enduring archetypes. Yet Flynn's off-screen life was filled with controversy, excess, and turbulence. Biographers frequently describe his relationships as combustible and deeply uneven. Accounts from his marriages note emotionally volatile behavior, heavy drinking, and a lifestyle of relentless partying that strained every partnership he entered. Some former partners recounted experiences of manipulation, controlling tendencies, or emotional volatility. Flynn's own memoir even hinted at the chaos he carried within. Though he remains a legendary figure, historians agree that Flynn's personal life was marked by instability that sharply contrasted with the heroic characters he portrayed. 3. Bing Crosby, the family man image, and the long-running controversy. Bing Crosby projected warmth, charm, and wholesome Americana. His velvety voice and easygoing screen presence made him one of the most beloved performers of his time. But after his death, accounts emerged, most famously from his son Gary Crosby, describing a far more strict and authoritarian father behind closed doors. While some family members disputed Gary's claims, others supported them, citing severe discipline and an emotionally distant household environment. Hollywood biographers have debated these accounts for decades. Regardless of where the exact truth lies, the very existence of such conflicting testimonies reveals a complex family dynamic starkly different from Crosby's gentle public persona. His story demonstrates how studio-driven images often mask painful private struggles. 4. John Wayne, stoic hero, turbulent husband. John Wayne's cinematic identity, patriotic, strong, principled, made him an American cultural icon. Yet his 3 marriages were not the harmonious partnerships his films might lead audiences to imagine. Numerous historians have noted that Wayne could be emotionally overbearing and struggled in relationships, especially during periods when work, fame, or alcohol complicated his personal life. Accounts from former spouses describe heated arguments, difficult temperaments, and periods of emotional distance. While Wayne's legacy as an actor remains monumental, biographers consistently document that his home life was far more fractured than his heroic screen image suggested. 5. Ralph Cramden Jackie Gleason, brilliant comedian, troubled husband. Jackie Gleason was a comedic powerhouse, best known for The Honeymooners. Behind the humor, however, accounts from his family and associates describe a man who wrestled with a fierce temper and heavy drinking. Some biographers recount stories of intense arguments and emotionally charged marital conflicts. Gleason's charm, generosity, and professional brilliance are widely acknowledged, yet so, too, are the difficulties that shadowed his relationships. His life is a reminder that comedic genius can coexist with deep personal turmoil. 6. Desi Arnaz, the talented architect of his own heartache. Desi Arnaz was a visionary producer, a gifted musician, and the man who helped reinvent the television industry. His marriage to Lucille Ball, however, was marked by repeated strains. Lucille herself described the relationship as passionate but chaotic. According to both Arnaz's and Ball's own accounts, the marriage suffered from Desi's drinking, long nights of partying, and emotionally disruptive behavior. While their professional partnership was groundbreaking, the private one was far more painful. Their love was intense, but their incompatibility and Arnaz's habits ultimately destroyed what they had built together. 7. Frank Sinatra, the voice that captivated the world, and a life of volatile love. Frank Sinatra's emotional intensity, so evident in his music, overflowed into his relationships. His marriage to Ava Gardner became one of Hollywood's most famously turbulent unions. Both partners were passionate, fiery, and prone to explosive arguments. Biographers describe episodes of emotional volatility on both sides. Friends of the couple recalled shouting matches, reconciliations, and a cycle of love and conflict that neither could sustain. Sinatra's marriages were often marked by his work-driven stress, emotional impulsiveness, and the pressures of global stardom. His story demonstrates how talent at the highest level can coexist with deep emotional turbulence. 8. Tyrone Power, handsome idol, hard marriages. Tyrone Power captured hearts with his elegance and charm, but his personal life was far less serene. His marriages often suffered under the burden of his fame, the demands of his career, and his own emotional struggles. According to several historical accounts, Power could be distant, moody, and difficult to connect with. Some partners described emotional neglect or periods of deep frustration. Though not characterized by the explosive drama found in other Hollywood stories, Power's relationships reveal a man who struggled to maintain closeness under the pressures of celebrity and self-doubt. 9. Van Johnson, Hollywood's polished prince with private strains. Van Johnson's clean-cut image made him one of the era's most bankable stars. Yet his marriage to Evie Wynne Johnson was surrounded by studio pressure, rumors, and emotional difficulty. The marriage itself, reported by biographers as orchestrated in part by the studio to manage public perceptions, was strained from the start. Accounts point to emotional disconnect, competing personal priorities, and a relationship shaped more by Hollywood expectations than genuine compatibility. While not marked by the dramatic extreme seen in other cases, Johnson's story highlights the emotional cost of living inside a public image that was largely manufactured. 10. Robert Mitchum, magnetic star with a dark edge. Robert Mitchum embodied a brooding coolness that translated into some of Hollywood's most iconic film noir performances. Off-screen, however, Mitchum was known for his rebellious lifestyle, heavy drinking, and unpredictable temperament. His marriage endured, but not without immense strain. Accounts from friends, coworkers, and biographers describe a household often disrupted by Mitchum's wild impulses. His wife, Dorothy, stayed with him for decades, but many observers believed she often had to manage the fallout of his behavior. Mitchum's story reflects the complexity of loving a man whose charisma was matched only by his inner restlessness. 11. James Cagney, tough guy star, difficult husband. James Cagney projected toughness, grit, and fire. Privately, however, some accounts of his marriage describe a man who could be emotionally severe and demanding. Though his marriage endured for over 60 years, biographers highlight phases of tension, strictness, and emotional distance. Unlike many actors on this list, Cagney was not known for scandal or public outbursts, but his driven personality and intense work ethic reportedly contributed to marital strain. His story shows that emotional difficulty can exist even in relationships that remain intact. What connects many of these stories is not merely the troubled behavior itself, but the system that concealed it. During the Golden Age, studios controlled publicity departments, gossip columnists, police contacts, legal resources, public relations machinery. If a scandal threatened a valuable star's reputation, the studio intervened swiftly. Incidents were minimized, witnesses were paid off, or stories were rewritten altogether. As a result, much of what happened behind closed doors remained hidden for decades. Only through later interviews, memoirs, declassified studio records, and the work of historians did these private struggles emerge. This does not mean every allegation is definitively proven, but it does show a consistent pattern of pressure, secrecy, and emotional turmoil beneath Hollywood's shimmering surface. Conclusion: the human cost behind the glitter. The stories of these 11 actors illustrate a powerful truth. The golden age of Hollywood was far from the fairy tale it appeared to be. Behind the charm, the talent, and the glamorous facade were real individuals grappling with addiction, emotional instability, public pressure, and deeply troubled relationships. These stories do not exist to condemn nor to excuse, but to illuminate, to understand the complex, painful realities that shaped some of Hollywood's most celebrated figures. By examining these accounts with nuance and care, we gain a deeper appreciation not only for the art they left behind, but for the human flaws, struggles, and contradictions that shaped their lives. The Golden Age was brilliant, but its shadows were long. And only by acknowledging them can we understand the complete picture of Hollywood's past.